On behalf of the Martin Luther King Jr. Freedom Center, we extend our gratitude for having us here at the 30th Annual Multicultural Dr. King March and Rally. The Freedom Center acknowledges and thanks Joanne Suzio and the other members of the March and Rally Committee for your dedication to keeping Dr. King's life and legacy alive. We must all have a dedication to nonviolence. Empowering all voices collectively, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. made his life and legacy centered around interdependence. Today, dominant culture commends independence and solitude. But in reality, these philosophies not only harm ourselves, but harm our brothers and sisters. This is why Dr. King spoke to living interdependently. He states, "Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. Interdependence holds supreme. It is natural and unifying, but most importantly, non-violent. Nonviolence chooses love instead of hate. For every action of injustice, we must respond with an equal level of love." 3 distinct Greek words Dr. King uses to describe love are eros, a romantic love; philia, a love for people who live and conduct themselves like you do; and agape, the unconditional love for one another just because we're human beings. In many of his sermons, Dr. King spoke of agape as a way to explain the use of nonviolence in race relations. At the center of nonviolence stands the principle of love, says King. We love men not because we like them, but because God loves them. A stronger democracy requires this study of love and the study of the levels of power. Beginning, there are 2 forms of power: personal and group power. Personal meaning one's own ability, and group meaning the group's ability to achieve a purpose. There are 3 kinds of power: economic, political, and cultural spiritual. Economic corresponds to monetary values, political to government decisions, and cultural spiritual to the group's consciousness. Understanding each level of power progresses our revolutionary dial for change. As bodies, as organizers, and as revolutionaries, we are in constant motion. So it is important this motion bends towards nonviolence. We must all form our own powerful truths and practice Kingian nonviolence consistently. Thank you.
Good morning. Dr. King was many things at once: a leader in the struggle for justice, a great Baptist minister, an excellent organizer, and an advocate for the left out and locked out. Too often we think only of his "I have a dream" speech, yet his work goes far beyond this. Dr. King laid out a blueprint for us to follow, to become active in the struggle against injustice, and his path of nonviolence to pave the road for justice, requiring us to practice 3 components: to make a vow to truth, to seek accurate and transparent understanding, hear and understand the ideas and feelings of others, while critically analyzing and refining our own, to constantly renew the mind, to be willing to study what you already know, undergoing a process of learning and unlearning. Lastly, to dedicate yourself to the development of self-control, to control our emotions and actions, defeating violence internally and externally, requiring our mind, emotions, and body to be calm. Each of us requires us to engage in conduct and action that is uplifting. Conduct is what we do, whether we take time in our day to read and write or waste away on technology. It is a way to build our character, the aspect of our moral or ethical strength. When our conduct leads to other interestedness and amplified character, we'll reach a place of higher consciousness, allowing us to see beyond our own selves, to become awake and alert to the struggles which we face, the time which we live of mass voter suppression, attacks on our democracy, and rapid climate change require us to be like Dr. King, become a nonviolence practitioner, develop the capacity to fight to create a beloved community. Thank you once again for the Martin Luther King Freedom Center.